my first memory of Dad shipping mangoes was in boxes that he shipped to Jacksonville by way of the FEC Railroad. And eventually we went to shipping by truck to more distant places as we had a greater volume. And now there came a time when we would be handling maybe 200 of those flats a day when we were packing, picking and packing. And Dad had a Volkswagen bus, one of those buses, you know, and we loaded that with fruit in boxes and took them down to Pompano to Greenstein Trucking. Well, there was a time we sent some by way of Armelini truck lines too, which had a terminal in Del Rey. And I remember one of the fellows, when he saw how the wheels of that Volkswagen were spread out and so loaded, he said, "Why don't you just take this on to New York?" Because I don't think he wanted to handle all those, stacking them up in his trailer. But that wouldn't have been practical.
Yeah, I think he was joking with you.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly overloaded that thing. But we did a lot of, he had a bin where, in the summers, we worked hard. The picking during the day and bringing fruit in, and we would, because mangoes bleed when you pick them green. We had, and Dad in the nursery was using square 5-gallon cans for his containerized 5-gallon trees that he sold. And he had, instead of punching holes for drainage, we didn't punch some of those. We put them on the flatbed truck and we'd run them under where we fill a spray tank with water and fill them about half full of water and drive this in the field so that when we picked the mangoes, they would immediately go in the water. And you can't leave them there too long, but after, I don't know, 10 minutes or sometime till they're through bleeding, we'd pour the water off. Well, when we came into the packing house, then we'd pour them into a bin that he had, and there were persons there that could choose what they wanted to put them according to size in these boxes, put lids on them and stamp them to address them and how many was in there and what variety. So, and then take them to transportation and send them on up to commission houses. The nursery, Dad compared it to milk, that his business was sort of like
selling the cows,
like milk. No, in that the real meat of the nursery was in the trees, and the fruit was simply just like the cream. You know, but fruit are so perishable, it would really keep us busy. There were many times before we worked out this system of picking the fruit and putting them directly in water. They would be put in whatever we could handle them in, take them in there, and then soak them in water and wipe them off by hand until we got them so they were clean, and put them in the bin, and then pack them out. And it didn't take, I don't know whether it was a year or so, we said, that has got to change. Because I remember we would be washing mangoes and you can't leave them soaked too long or it really ruins them.
Some varieties will split.
Oh, yeah.
We know that.
Yeah. So it would be working after dark, and it wasn't any daylight time, but we'd work sometime to midnight getting them cleaned, washed, and put in a bin so they could drain. And it was a bin made of netting like shrimp fishermen use trolling for shrimp. When I'm not a shrimp fisherman, but we would get a lot of the supplies we worked with from commercial fishing supply places. So anyway, the air could circulate through them, just gravity and natural air circulation, so the fruit would dry over this net, and then they would be packed. But before we were putting them in water, and so that we could dump them directly into the net when we came in from picking, they used to be in containers that we would put in what are they? Wash tubs, and wash them in there, and use a cloth. That's tedious, man. I don't ever want to go back to that. Yeah.
So, you said you had a packing house there. Did you ship the mangoes out of state, or when?
Oh, yes.
So, like, what was your market? Who were you selling to back then?
We were selling to commission houses. We would pack them in lugs and carry them to well, it didn't all happen at once, but we would carry them to the truckers who were running refrigerated trucks to Chicago and New York were the primary markets, and we would take what they would give us as far as what they could sell them for up there. They worked on a commission, and we got paid what they could send us. And we were moving, well, primarily it was Kent's and Tommy Atkins and Kitts. That's why this whole grove at one time was 5 acres of, well, it began as 5 acres of Kent, but in about 1970 I grafted them all over to Kit on request of Dad, and I had enough experience with them that I agreed that Kit would be a better commercial mango than the Kent. So that's how this grove came to be. Well, how it came to be Kit. How it came to be Kent was that it was next to the railroad in an area that had been, subdivision was made to the east of this, but this area next to the railroad was not part of it, and Dad kept it to put mangoes in, and he planted the grove in 55 or 56. He couldn't recall exactly, but at this stage of the game it doesn't make much difference. But an interesting thing for the record, there was a time when a man came to Dad wanting to buy his mango plants in gallon cans for 90 cents. And Dad's price on them was $1. And the man said, well, you know, he said, well, Mr. Miner sells them for 90 cents. And Dad said, well, go get them from Mr. Miner. And the man said, well, Mr. Miner is sold out. And Dad said, well, when I'm sold out, mine are 90 cents also.